Hello again. Good morning. Hi. Great. So I hope you're keeping well this morning. I'm again on my commute to work this morning, and this is another edition of Papa Bear. And we're trying to get this whole discussion going about what it means to be a father and how men can improve and be better and learn from each other about fatherhood and what it means to make this transition. I know for some of us this is an entirely new process. We've never been fathers before. For some of us this is your second time round. You've done this rodeo before, so you're doing this for second, third time, fourth time, whatever the number. But I don't think there's any harm in getting better, trying to learn a new outlook, a new perspective based on other men's experiences. So that's what I'm here to do. I mean, that's what Papa Bear is all about. So let's get straight into it. So today is going to be a bit of a mushy sort of emotional kind of topic. I know there's this myth that guys are not supposed to get emotional, guys are not supposed to feel anything apart from love. Well, okay, no, no one said that ever. But the point is that for men, the process of having a baby is also a fairly emotional process. It can be a bit of a roller coaster. And today I just want to share a little bit about what my experience was and what you can expect getting into this journey. So I remember the first time when we were expecting our firstborn, who's 10 years old now, big girl. What happened is that at the time, especially at the time of delivery, around the time of when the baby was being born, I remember feeling very what can I say? I don't use the word guilt, but it's almost like here's my wife going through all this trauma and all this pain and all this suffering, and really it's my fault. Or at least that's what I felt. That I sort of did this to her. I caused her to go through all of this pain, and that gave me a sense of guilt to some extent. I felt how could I do this? This was my fault. Weird, but that's sort of one of the emotions that I went through at that point in time. I think the other thing that happened is that I felt a lot of happiness or joy, for lack of a better word, joy, realizing that what's about to happen is an amazing thing. I'm about to become a father. I'm about to welcome this new person into my life, which was a sense of joy, a sense of elation at that process. I think the other thing that happened is that I felt a sense of uncertainty about the future. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what the future held for me and for my family. You feel this huge sense of responsibility as a man. Generally, I think that's standard. Every man who's involved and who's growing really feels a sense of responsibility over his family. That these people are depending on me. These people require a certain support from me. Can I do it? Am I able? Am I capable? Do I have what it takes? And that feeling is multiplied when a baby comes into the mix, because the baby is a lot more helpless, and they need your support more than maybe your wife or other people in your family. So there's this huge sense of responsibility that you feel, like you feel the weight of the world on your shoulders, and you feel like you have to be this Superman who can do everything, who knows everything, who knows what needs to happen, who has everything down pat. It's a misconception, but it's a genuine emotion that men feel at this point in time. So I felt a sense of that overwhelming sense of responsibility. I think it was even more so when we had more than one child. When the other children were born, that sense of responsibility was even higher, because I kind of knew what it was like with the firstborn. I kind of knew the kind of stress and the kind of lifestyle change that I had to go through as a father the first time. So I really felt a sense of that responsibility, and it happened every time. The other thing that happened is that you feel this overwhelming sense that you're not sure whether things are going to work out or not, but at the back of your mind, you know that somehow God's got this under control. That you don't really think about the next 18 years of your life. There's this thing that when a child comes, you think how the next 18 years of your life are going to be different, and you're already seeing college fees. College talks about college. You're already seeing university fees and all that stuff. I mean, that's a myth. I think there's a sense of responsibility, but it's not really that far out. You know that this child is going to depend on you, and there's going to be a certain change in your lifestyle in the short term, and in the long term there's going to be a lot of changes you're going to have to make. There's going to be a lot of costs you're going to incur. You're kind of vaguely aware of that, but it's not top of mind. You're not sitting in that delivery room or watching that baby after delivery and thinking, my goodness, I'm going to have to pay university fees for this child. You don't really feel that way. I mean, there's a sense of responsibility, but it's not that overwhelming, and it's not that immediate. And that's an interesting dynamic. At least that was my experience going through this. I think that you're going to be taking care of this child, but you don't really feel like it's going to be for the rest of your life. Those things kind of unfold with time. I think in my experience, when you have more than one child, you kind of have this sense that here's another part of me that this child is part of me. I think it was stronger. That sense was stronger for me for my second and third born than the first. I think the first there was a lot of emotional turmoil. For the second, it was more of here's another piece of me that I can see. I actually contributed towards the creation of this human. And there's that overwhelming sense of joy. There's a sense of accomplishment, if I can use that word. That here's something that I've been able to do. I went for a forum once, and somebody made a statement that they've never co-founded anything except their children. And I thought, wow, that's interesting. Seeing yourself as a co-founder of a life, and that sense is there, and I felt it especially where my other two children were concerned. So there's the other dynamic is the dynamic of gender, depending on whether it's a boy or a girl. So there's cultural nuances around that. Whereas in some cultures, having a boy first is a bigger sense of pride than having a girl, or vice versa. There are people who sort of want to have girls or want to have boys, or there are certain individual preferences regarding the gender of the child, which I found I found them to be non-existent. I mean, that dynamic was non-existent for me. I mean, I knew first of all that what the gender of my children were going to be before any of them was born. But I wasn't like this is a boy and I wanted a girl, so I'm going to make you wear pink or anything. No. It was that dynamic did not play at all for me. Because for me, it's a child. It's my baby. She's the one who God has given me, and whether it's a boy or a girl, it doesn't really matter. I think the other thing that happens is the wider community comes into play. So my experience was that so naming is a big thing in my community. Which community you can probably guess, but I won't tell you. But naming is a big thing, and my folks. So my firstborn was the first grandchild in our family. Actually, all three of them were the first grandchildren in my family, and so there was this whole thing about naming, where my dad, and my mom, they didn't know what the child was going to be, a boy or a girl, but they knew that there was going to be at some point need for a name. And in my culture, then the name is given by the grandparents of the child. At least some of the names are given by the grandparent of the child. So there was this whole process that we had to go through in terms of the naming and all. And I like to think everybody was happy. I think we were able to be equitable as possible, and play out the politics that naming process can entail. But it went well, so that's another dynamic. What's the name going to be? Here is this person who has been renamed or who has been born, as we say in our community. So there was that whole process where my wider family then comes into play, and is involved in the process. And when they come in, and they, there's all this hullabaloo around it, and it's awesome. But at the end of the day, they then go home, and then we're left, to be with the baby and to handle all of that. So, in a nutshell, what I'm trying to say is that the process of becoming a father can be fairly emotional. It can be a roller coaster for a man. And that's something you should expect as a guy, and for the ladies who are watching this, don't expect your guy to know everything. Your guy might not be in a frame of mind to handle certain things, just because of the sort of the emotional toll that it takes on a guy. A lot of it has to do with the perceived responsibility that they're going to have to take. There's this sense that your life is never going to be the same again, that your independence as a man is gone forever. So there's a lot of emotions that a man goes through, but at the end of the day, half of those fears or those worries or those uncertainties are really unfounded, and it's really a wonderful, joyous time that a family will go through, having to to welcome this new person into their lives. So yeah, not as much as I thought. I thought I was going to cry. I actually have some tissues, but no, I think it was just a heads up, just to let you know what it feels like. That was my experience. I'd love to hear what your experience was. If you have any thoughts, please feel free to give me feedback at the bottom of this video. Please feel free to sambaza this video as much as possible, and let me know what you think about that. Yeah, I'll be interviewing other men in the course of the next few videos, just to get a feel of what their experiences were. Yeah, let me know what you think. Yeah, like, subscribe, share, and let's have this conversation going. Cheers.